Hola, in this video I'm going to be talking about the idea of grammatical person and what it means and how you can decide who or which grammatical person is being used in a sentence. Understanding the idea of grammatical person is going to help you a lot in learning another language because a lot of grammar is based around the grammatical person in a sentence. So you've probably heard about grammatical person in English class before. This is the same as basically who the narrator is talking about. So first person, you should know, is when the narrator is talking about themselves. So I was walking down the street and I saw the cutest dog I had ever seen. I crossed the street so I could pet it. This little story is in first person because the narrator is talking about themselves. So they use the word I. I was walking down the street. I saw the dog. Right? So when you talk about what I did, you're talking about what yourself did. You probably also know the term third person, which is when the narrator is talking about somebody else. So she was walking down the street and she saw the cutest dog she had ever seen. She crossed the street so she could pet it. In this example, the narrator is talking about she, some girl that we don't know who she is, but the narrator's not talking about themselves. The second person you probably haven't really talked about in an English class. So what is second person? Second person is actually when the narrator is talking to you, to the person that is listening. So an example of a second person story would be you were walking down the street and you saw the cutest dog you had ever seen. You crossed the street so you could pet it. Okay, so second person is when you're talking to somebody. So here's kind of an illustration. The person on the left here is talking to the person on the right, and he's saying, I was walking down the street, I saw the dog. So in this example, which of these two people is the one who did all of the actions in this story? Who is the subject of these sentences? It's the person on the left. So the person on the left is talking, and the person is talking about themselves, about what they did. Second person, you were walking down the street and you saw the cutest dog. The person on the left is talking to the person on the right. Who is the person who did all the things in the story? It's the person on the right. The person that the person on the left is talking to. Third person, she was walking down the street and she saw the cutest dog she had ever seen. She crossed the street to pet it. Who is this person talking about? Who is the subject of this story? Who did all of these actions? It's not the person on the left, and it's not the person on the right either. They're talking about a third person. So this person is the one who did all the things in this story. That's why we call it third person. So we can organize these into a bit of a chart, which we will come back to in a minute. A first person would be talking about something I did. Second person would be talking about something you did. And third person would be talking about something that he, she, or it did. Third person can also refer to almost anything. We could say the dog, we could say the cat, the person, the box, the chair, anything as long as it's one thing would be third person. So I, you, he, she, it. But what if you're talking about more than one person? So this is where we come to the idea of plural person. Plural means more than one person or thing. So first, second, and third person also can have a singular meaning one or a plural number. So first person plural, if the two people on the left are talking to the person on the right, what would they say in this story? Since they both did it, they would say we, right? So we were walking down the street and we saw the cutest dog we had ever seen. We crossed the street so we could pet it. This is first person because the person who is telling the story is also the person who did the story, but they did it with more than one person. So we were talking about what we did, not just what I did, but what we did. In second person plural is when you're talking to a group of people. So the person on the left is talking to the group of people on the right. He could say you, but in English, there are a couple different ways of expressing second person plural. The first, most correct way would be you all. So the person on the left says, you all were walking down the street and you all saw the cutest dog you all had ever seen. You all crossed the street so you all could pet it. So he's talking to a group of people, not just one person. In English, there's also other ways you can say this. You can say y'all. Y'all were walking down the street and y'all saw the cutest dog y'all had ever seen. Or sometimes you can also say you guys. You guys were walking down the street and you guys saw the cutest dog you guys had ever seen. So whichever way you want to say that, all three of these examples are second person plural because the person is talking to a group of people. Third person plural is when you're talking about a group of people who are not part of the conversation. So, person on the left is talking to the person on the right, but he's talking about the two people on the far left. So he would say, they were walking down the street and they saw the cutest dog they had ever seen. They crossed the street so they could pet it. So we can put all this in a chart, which will help us a lot when we're learning a language to kind of visualize who we're talking about. So you can have first, second, and third person, but you can also be talking about one person or a group of people. So first person singular would be when you're talking about what I did. First person plural would be talking about what we did. But either way, the first person is talking about what that same person did. Second person would be you or you all and you guys. Third person could be he, she, it, and then third person plural would be they, a group of people did. So if we take out our illustrations, we've got this little chart, which you'll see a lot in Spanish class and a lot in a lot of other language classes, because this is a way that you can organize who you're talking about. If you're talking about yourself, or if you're talking to someone, or if you're talking about someone, and how many people you're talking about. So understanding this chart is going to help you a lot in learning Spanish and any other language you want to learn. So if you need some more help, be sure to talk to your teacher about how to understand this chart.